"What do we have here? Are you into comic books or something, shorty?" the bully asks as he flips through and sees Damian Wayne's drawings. Damian looks at him calmly. "Return my notebook to me or you'll lose an arm," he says simply. The bully and his friends laugh, but Damian adjusts his sunglasses, leaping into action. He knocks the bully out with a kick and then he whirls around, taking out the rest of the underage thugs with punches and elbows until he backflips and lands on his desk. Now you're probably wondering how I got here. This is Batman and Robin issues 2 and 3. During Gotham War, Damian sided with Bruce Wayne, and while Bruce is dealing with his Zur-En-Arrh split personality, he needs to train and handle normal Gotham things with Damian. We last left off some old villains that popped back up, and they bombed Batman with a gas that would attract bats to come and attack him. Now you found yourself at Comicstorian, where we take comic books, turn them into audio drama so that you know what's going on in the world of comics. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider checking us out on Spotify or our sister channel, Comicstorian Full Story. Or you can support us directly and keep the channel alive by going to Patreon. Now let's get into issue 2. It was years ago at the headquarters of the League of Shadows that Damian looked at a small bat hanging from the table. "It's cute," he notes to Mistress Harsh, his teacher. But she shakes her head, pointing out that the creature isn't cute, and that it can't let his emotions rule him. She moves quickly, cutting through the creature's neck with her small blade, and Damian looks at her in shock as Mistress Harsh explains that he was distracted by the creature's cuteness, and this allowed her to move quickly to kill it. She explains that nothing is harmless and that he is too caught up in his feelings, something he's going to have to work on. We now go back to the present day where Damian is shouting for his father as Batman is leaping away, assaulted by a horde of ravenous bats that are now drawn to him. In the distance, the criminal known as Shush watches from where she fired a chemical pellet at the Dark Knight. "You're not at the top of the food chain anymore, Batman. This must happen so I can get my life back," she whispers before leaping away into the darkness. As the bats continue to attack Batman, Robin rushes to his aid, ordering his father to keep moving. "Why are they chasing you?" he shouts, and the pair run across the rooftops as Batman has already been torn and bloodied by the bats. "It must have been the gas pellet that I was shot with. It attracts them while turning them ravenous," Batman shouts. He prepares to hit the creatures with a strobe light, but Robin shakes his head. "No! That could scare some, but it could also hurt them," Robin says, showcasing his affection for animals. Batman nods, pulling out a gas grenade. He launches it at the ground and the bats quickly disperse. He then looks to Robin, explaining that it was full of eucalyptus, cinnamon, rosemary, and thyme. "My mother used to use it around the mansion to keep the bats away," Batman explains, so Robin looks at him in surprise. "And you put that in a smoke bomb? I'm impressed. You truly do plan for everything, father." The two then retreat to the Robin-mobile, and they move off into the night. Meanwhile, at the Gotham Zoo, Killer Croc informs Shush that he is quitting the group, not wishing to be involved with anything that has already piqued the Batman's attention. So in the next room, the terrible trio are guarding Dr. Kafria. Shush passes by them as she moves into the next chamber. From the shadows, her boss speaks to her. "You did well today, Shush. You took advantage of White Rabbit's failure to not only retrieve Dr. Kafria, but also distract Batman," the shadowy figure says, but he informs her that they wish to have their revenge. "There is a loose end that you must deal with before Batman and Robin do," the shadow says. Back at the Brownstone, the current home of Batman and Robin, Damian finishes sewing up Bruce's wounds, with his father being impressed by Damian's skill. Bruce looks to the computer for his medical scans, confirming that the gas pellet that hit him manipulated his pheromones. "It makes the bats of Gotham want to attack me." Damian nods, standing. "You have to heal. That bat repellent that you had is only a temporary fix. Until we can find a cure, it's unsafe for you to go out at night." But Bruce turns his chair, unhappy with this turn of events. But he does nod. "Okay, doctor. Then I'll stay behind to see what I can find. While I do that, son, there's something that I need you to do this morning. Something that you're going to find challenging," Bruce says. Damian smiles at his father with confidence. "What could you possibly challenge me with, father?" A short time later, Damian is looking up at the sign for Gotham High School, and he sighs, shaking his head. "I have faced literal gods," he sighs as he walks inside, moving through the halls of the school, listening to the whispers as he passes. People talk about how his father is poor now, how he must have been conceived by an overseas bimbo, how he looks very weird wearing sunglasses inside. Finally, Damien arrives at his first class and he drops his notebook on the table. But he doesn't take long for some bully to grab his notebook and begin to flip through it. "What do we have here? Are you into comic books or something, shorty?" the bully asks as he flips through and sees Damian Wayne's drawings. Damien looks at him calmly. "Return my notebook to me or you'll lose an arm," he says simply. The bully and his friends laugh, but Damien adjusts his sunglasses, leaping into action. He knocks the bully out with a kick and then he whirls around, taking out the rest of the underage thugs with punches and elbows until he backflips and lands on his desk. "No one touches my notebook," Damien says softly. Damien adjusts his sunglasses. The bully's still laughing as he imagines how the fight would have gone. But they're interrupted by the principal, who walks in and orders the bully to return Damien's property. The principal looks at Damien before she walks out of the room. "Don't let them get under your skin. High school will be the peak years of their lives where you'll forget about them," Principal Stone tells him. She's then replaced by the teacher, Mrs. Hall, who walks in and greets her class. "Before we get started, why don't we give a warm Gotham City High School welcome to Damian Wayne," she says, motioning to Damien's desk. Everyone turns, but Damien has disappeared. Miss Hall looks around and walks to the window. "Where did he go?" "He was just here," she says, but Damien is already moving, now dressed as Robin. He rushes to the Robin mobile, quickly driving to Blackgate Prison. He slips inside, avoiding the guards as he sticks to the shadows. "You should be in school," Batman says as he steps out of the shadows, surprising his son. "And you should be resting," Robin points out. But their argument is interrupted as the alarms begin to sound. Batman and Robin immediately turn around. "White Rabbit! We need to get her out of here," Batman says, and they rush to the criminal cell, finding the guards dead outside. And inside the cell, Shush and the terrible trio have White Rabbit at gunpoint. "Too slow," Shush whispers before pulling the trigger. The gunshot echoes throughout the prison cell, but there's a pause and White Rabbit comes running out. "How did you miss? How did she get the cuffs off?" the terrible trio shout. "See ya, wouldn't want to be ya," White Rabbit shouts over her shoulder as she rushes through Blackgate. Damien turns, watching the criminal dash away. "Father, she's fast," Damien notes, and the trio rush after White Rabbit as Damien quickly follows. "Robin, wait!" Batman shouts, but his son is already gone. Batman whirls back to Shush, who has raised her gun and opened fire. The rounds bounce off of Batman's cape as he rushes forward, knocking the weapon away and pulling Shush close. "Who are you? Where's Tommy?" Batman growls, but the woman just glares at him. "Call me Shush. I'm surprised you're up and about after your little friends attacked you," she whispers, and Batman narrows his eyes, realizing that she is the one who fired the gas pellet. "You're the one who turned the bats against me," he says as she nods her head. "And I have the cure. Maybe we can make a deal. Let me kill White Rabbit and the cure is yours." Batman shakes his head, backing out of the cell, closing the door behind him. "Good thing you're already in this cell in Blackgate. It can be your new home. After I interrogate White Rabbit about what you're really up to, I'm going to deal with you." He then begins to walk away, but Shush comes to the bars and smiles. "How about I offer you a different game? I planned for you and your darling boy's arrival," she says, explaining that she planted a bomb in the prison that is set to go off in about 5 minutes. "If you're quiet, you can hear the ticking." Batman narrows his eyes at her before whirling around and heading off into the prison. Meanwhile, the trio are still hunting White Rabbit, but Robin is suddenly there, leaping down, lashing out at the criminals. "You surprised me last time we met. It'll never happen again," he snaps, and White Rabbit suddenly leaps out, helping the boy wonder, taking out the shark with a fast kick. With the trio down, she turns to the young hero. "Look at us, fighting side by side, a new dynamic duo?" Before Robin can even respond, though, Shush appears, opening fire and spraying the room with bullets. "You're late for your date with our boss, Rabbit," she whispers as she rushes past, grabbing a hold of White Rabbit, keeping Robin pinned down as she continues to fire on him. Robin hits his comms, trying to get in touch with Batman and call for backup. "Hold on, son. Meet me outside in a few seconds," Batman says softly as he continues to work on the bomb before it explodes. He finally reaches down, cutting the last wire. And outside, Shush throws White Rabbit into her car, ordering the trio to head back to their base. Shortly after, Batman and Robin are chasing after the criminals. "I'll follow Shush and White Rabbit. You're going back to school," Batman shouts at Robin over the comms, but Damian refuses, turning the wheel sharply and beginning to follow the terrible trio, promising Batman that he'll find their secret hideout. as I believe it's going to lead us to Dr. Kafira and a cure for you, Robin says sharply. Batman grips the wheel, finally nodding. Be careful. He hits the gas on the Batmobile, speeding after Shush's car. Pulling up alongside, he then pops the canopy on the Batmobile, leaning out, holding out his hand and shouting for White Rabbit to jump. Are you crazy? The woman shouts, and Shush reaches for her gun, waving it at White Rabbit. Stay down. But White Rabbit shakes her head, leaping into the air, flipping over the Batmobile. Sorry, I can't hear you, she shouts, and she reaches out her hand with Batman grabbing it, pulling her down into the car. Shush then turns her head, and when she looks back, she realizes that she's going to crash. Hitting the brakes, she skids through the streets. The car slams into parked cars and then bursts into flames. Bringing the Batmobile to a stop, Batman gets out and looks at the flames. He moves forward, quickly looking at the scene before returning to the Batmobile and White Rabbit. She's gone. Not surprising. He says, looking to White Rabbit. If I'm going to find her, I need to find Hush. I need to see how they're connected and why they're working together. But White Rabbit shakes her head. I don't know what their master scheme is, but she's not working for Hush. Meanwhile, Robin is following the trio back to the Gotham Zoo, where he slips through the shadows until he finds Dr. Kafira, who is then whispering for help. Robin moves forward, finding that the doctor has been poisoned. He reaches down for her restraints, but looks up as a bat-shaped shadow falls over him. Father? He whispers as he turns with surprise. Man-Bat falls from above, and Robin leaps to punch at the villain. I've trained against ninja Man-Bats. I can handle, he begins to say, but the Man-Bat catches his punch, knocking it aside, and a clawed hand wraps around Robin's throat, lifting him into the air. You really shouldn't underestimate me, my dear child, Man-Bat says as he pulls Robin in close. The story of Batman and Robin against the terrible trio, Shush, and how she's related to Hush will continue here at Comicstorian. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because this is to be continued.